Good evening, students. Let's look at this essay answer to an IELTS General Writing Task 1. You can see the question and the answer printed below. Your neighbours have recently written to you to complain about the noise from your house or flat, and you have to write a letter to your neighbours explaining the situation, apologising and saying what action you're going to take. Now, the areas I have highlighted in bold have mistakes, so I would first ask you to look at the essay and try to correct it yourself. This is valuable training for you. If you can correct your own mistakes, this is really excellent. And I often notice that students can actually do this when I point out that they have made a mistake without my helping them. This will aid their memory far better than if I give them the correct answer. So pause the audio for a while you do that. Okay, let's look at paragraph 1. I was really surprised to receive your complaints about the noise which has been disturbing you and your family. Let me just say something about tense here in this kind of question. Now, the question asks you about noise which has been coming or came from your home. So it may have happened only one time, or it may be an ongoing situation. I think from the structure of the question, it's more likely to be an ongoing situation where the noise is continuing, rather than, say, a party you had last Saturday night which is now finished. So you need to use the correct tense for this story, and it will be present perfect continuous. Something has been going on. You could actually use past simple if you wanted to. You could say, I'm sorry about the party we had last Saturday night, and I assure you this is an unusual event, etc., etc. But in the third line here, the writer goes on to talk about working on the renovation of her apartment. So it's clear that this is an ongoing situation and we need to use present perfect continuous tense. Getting tenses confused is a very common mistake in both writing and speaking for students. You should establish at the beginning of your story what tense you're using. It's mostly either going to be past simple or present perfect continuous. These are probably the most common tenses. And then make sure that you continue in the same tense throughout your story. So let's move on to line 4. I have recently ordered some furniture and left my construction workers. Now, I think construction workers would not be the kind of people who would be arranging furniture, but they may be the people who are putting up shelves. So the people who move furniture for us are usually called removal men. However, if this furniture has come from the shop, then we might say delivery men. So here we might say left my delivery men and construction workers alone to arrange the furniture and put up or fix the shelves to the kitchen walls. When we talk about putting shelves on a wall, when we're screwing in screws or using nails, we say put up or fix to the wall. And when people bring furniture to our home and put it in different rooms, we would say arrange the furniture, not set up. Set up is used for a tent or a temporary building or a meeting or a project. Moving on, I have asked them not to do any drilling after 9 p.m. Hence, I was not expecting to cause you any annoyance. Actually, that should be, I was not expecting to have caused you any annoyance, because the writer spoke to the construction men before, so she was not expecting to have caused any annoyance in the past. Moving on, perhaps the moving, or maybe we might say delivery and moving of the new furniture also resulted in some annoying sounds, or better to say, resulted in some loud noises. Sound is not a negative word. We can listen to the sound of music, which is quite pleasant, or we can hear the sound of a baby crying, which may be annoying. Sound is a neutral word, and we need to talk about the kind of sound to know whether it is positive or negative. Moving on to paragraph 2. Anyway, I do apologise for any stress I have caused. I use stress here because we have already used disturb in the first line and annoyance, so we're running out of synonyms, so I think stress is a good word here. This next sentence is a little bit tricky because of the tense. I had believed that the sound insulation was far better in our building. Here, what the writer is saying is that she hadn't believed that the noise would easily go through to her neighbour's home, because she had thought that the building had very good sound insulation. But here she has to use the past perfect tense because she's talking about what she thought before the problem first arose, which was in the past. Quite tricky grammar here. On to paragraph 3. Checker with is not at all clear, so we need to change that. I will make sure that my construction workers do not make any loud noises between. Now here the writer has left off the second digit for PM, so I don't know what time she is referring to, but in any case it looks wrong. I think probably she is saying from 9 a.m. to maybe 6 p.m, but I think this is a time when people would think it was acceptable to have some noise, but the time when we do not think it is acceptable to have some noise may be late at night. So maybe she means from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. And I am also expecting to complete the noisy part of the work by the end of this week. Next sentence. I know that your baby has had problems with his daily naps, and I hope that this will be resolved soon. And now the writer has introduced this problem about the baby napping without giving us some explanation about how this fits into the story. So there's some lack of clarity here about why this is being mentioned. But if the time frame the writer is talking about when she wants the construction workers to make less noise, if this is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m, that may explain why she wants to reduce the noise during this time, because this may be when the baby is sleeping. But this idea needs to be introduced, so we're lacking some information here. And moving on, please do not hesitate to contact me should you have any other concerns. End of the essay. Well, some problems with this essay. The content is good, but unfortunately there's a lot of problems with grammar and structure, And I think this is partly because the writer has chosen some quite difficult things to talk about. Although on the surface it looks like quite a simple story to talk about moving furniture and construction work, actually sometimes we need very specific vocabulary for these kind of activities and very specific tenses, which can often be difficult. So generally I would have advised students to avoid talking about things like working on your home, making food in the kitchen, repairing your car, doing stuff on your computer, activities which require fairly specific vocabulary, especially verbs and phrases. If you don't get these exactly right, they will look like very glaring mistakes. Glaring. G-L-A-R-I-N-G. Check Google if you don't know the meaning of that word. Generally speaking, my advice in all speaking and writing questions is try to choose a very simple answer but make your English complicated. So you might find that if you choose something simple to talk about, like I am having a new garage built on my house, without going into any more detail, this is going to be an easier story to talk about. For example, I'm sorry about all the noise that has been coming from my house recently, but as you may have noticed, I am having a new garage built on the side of the house. As you can imagine, this involves a lot of workers and machinery, so sometimes it is extremely noisy, and I know it must be very annoying for you. However, I'd like to assure you that the workers have promised me to finish by 5 o'clock every day and hope to complete the whole job before the end of the week. Furthermore, the noisiest part of the work has already been completed, so I think during the next few days it will be far less annoying for you. I do sincerely apologise for this noise, but I'm hoping that when it is all finished you can come over for a glass of wine and we can celebrate the opening of my new garage. Yours sincerely. So try to stick to general language, not too specific. Always remember that this is an English test, not a test of your knowledge about the subject of the essay question. You don't have to be an engineer or a doctor or a scientist or an architect. You just have to have good English and a good imagination. Use your imagination to find the easiest way to answer the question with the most fantastic English. Thank you for listening, students. Good luck with your next assignment.